So I think for years, golfers have understood that long irons are a thing of the past, and they've replaced them with hybrids. But maybe, just maybe, you shouldn't be putting a hybrid in the bag. You should be looking at a more lofted fairway wood. So I think particularly in the last couple of years, there's a lot more choices for lofted fairway woods, and maybe a lot of you watching aren't aware of what options there are. Now, I would consider myself generally a pretty good long iron player, but for about the last 2.5 years, I've had a 7 wood instead of a 3 iron. Now, I do appreciate most of you won't even be thinking about a 3 iron, so I'm going to hit some shots with my 4 iron first, just to get some base numbers. Then I'm going to hit the 4 hybrid, and then I'm going to hit the 9 wood. And I'm going to talk about why the different design might suit certain players with hybrid, but maybe more often than not, the 9 wood or a 7 wood for you guys actually will give you more of what you want, and why it will give you that and make it easier for you to hit the kind of shots you need into par 3s, into those longer par 4s to get the ball landing on the green and stopping. So we're going to start off with 4 iron. And I'm going to run through these fairly quickly, but I'm going to use TrackMan as ever. I'm going to look at some numbers on there about how high I hit the ball, how it's coming in, how it's spinning, and even on those little miss hits maybe, what kind of drop off do I see? So I'm going to hit half a dozen with each club and see what we get. So a little bit towards the toe and just turning over, but decent club head speed, nice ball speed, a little bit flat and landing fairly flat. But a nice opener, to be fair. There's the thin, horrible one with the 4 iron. You can see poor strike and just a massive drop off. It's more like I would be hoping to see on a regular basis. Good solid strike, getting up in the air, not too much shape. Nice spin and good height at 91 feet, landing at 42 degrees. So we can see there, carrying at 204, total at just under 219. Again, didn't get all of that one. It's a good job I don't have to hit lots of 4 irons into greens. You can see a bit of a drop off, and just performance wise, even without being a terrible strike, see a decent drop off with 4 irons. So last couple, again, nice and solid. Very much like the one before. And that one just a little bit picky again, but I'd live with that all day long if that was as bad as it got with 4 iron. You can still see 200 carry, 213 total. So just from an average perspective, I'm going to take this one off, just ignore that. And then we kind of look at the averages there of decent strikes. There was one absolute shocker in there that I've taken off, but 91.5 mile an hour club speed, ball speed at 129, spin at just under 4,000, 82 feet peak height, landing at just under 40 degrees, carrying at 196, total at 212. So like I said, generally I'm not an awful long iron player, but what we did see is that the miss hit, and it was a really, really bad one, there was a massive drop off, and even the ones that were a little bit thin, there's more of a drop off than I would like to see. Now the advantage I have is I've got some decent club head speed, so the ball's at least going to continue on that trajectory to get that max height so it can land on the green and stop, but also maximise my carry. Now, obviously a lot of golfers don't have that. So what we'll see is with the hybrid, we've got a slightly bigger head, and as we're swinging the middle of the club heads trying to catch a shaft up, so this should launch the ball a bit higher, potentially carry a bit further, get a little bit more speed from the graphite shaft, and just the metal wood head should be a little bit more forgiving. So I would expect this for me to deliver slightly better results anyway. But again, we'll go half a dozen with the 4 hybrid. That was an absolute shocker. Really poor strike, but we saw more club head speed. Ball speed was still okay. And being honest, for one I nearly missed there, some pretty good results. Little bit thin. But again, we see more club head speed, lots more ball speed. Spin's great, height's good. And definitely see kind of probably about my very best 4-iron with one that was okay with the hybrid. Now, definitely for me personally, I'm not a massive hybrid fan. Even though I've got this set in flat, still feels like the club face looks a little bit left, which isn't great visually for me. But for anyone who slices the ball, this can be a great option. That's about as good as it gets. So good strike, quick club head speed, good ball speed, launched a bit higher, spun a bit more, super high at 110 feet, landing at 46 degrees, so a much steeper descent angle, good carry at 216 and 227 total. Now, I'll be honest, if I felt like I could do that all the time with hybrid, I might consider putting a hybrid in the bag. Again, a really poor one. Felt awful, so off the toe. Actually got back to target nicely. Spin's not bad, height's great, land angle is still good, and the distance is still good for, I would have been nowhere near that with a 4-iron. So let's couple with the hybrid. Ripped it, high, long, accurate, and we see those numbers just ticking all the boxes there. So one final one with the hybrid. And again, felt good. Actually just cut in a little bit. But again, quick club head speed, ball speed fantastic. Launch angle's good. Height's amazing. Landing much steeper with lots of spin, and therefore not too much rollout. So we look at the average there. More club head speed, more ball speed, launching great, spinning fantastic, higher, landing steeper, and generally just carrying further and stopping nice and quickly. So it's funny, isn't it? I personally wouldn't put 4 hybrid in the bag, but when I look at those numbers, that's definitely better and more consistent than 4-iron. Now, this is the interesting one for me, so 9 wood. So for anybody who maybe struggles with club head speed, the extra length of the shaft with the fairway wood should generate more speed. Predominantly the golfer who doesn't swing too quick doesn't hit it too high. So then we've got the bigger head. So again, middle of the club head, trying to catch the shaft up, should see more dynamic loft, should see potentially a higher flight. And even though this is a little bit more lofted at 24 degrees as opposed to 22, probably expecting the numbers to be very, very similar. Now, when you put it down behind the golf ball, it does literally look like I'm just going to hit it up into the roof. But again, let's hit half a dozen, see how the 9 wood performs. So felt poor strike. So a little bit towards the toe. Quick club head speed though at nearly 100 mile an hour. Ball speed at 132. Lots and lots of spin. Super high and landing very, very steeply. So we see 193 carry, but only 199 total. Oh, there's the thin one. So a really poor strike. Good club head speed, decent ball speed. Lots of spin still, and height, considering I thinned it, not bad at all. That one's gone a little bit further with the lower flight. Even that one a little bit thin, so I'm not kind of getting the full performance out of the 9 wood. But again, considering thin, some very, very good numbers. And even that one being thin would land on the green and stop. That's more like what I would expect to see. So good club head speed, good ball speed, launching high, flying super high with decent spin, long carry and just not rolling out much because of that spin and descent angle. And it's a funny one. I tested the 9 wood earlier in the year, and it's definitely something that I don't suppose I'd ever really considered putting in my bag, which sounds odd considering I've got 7 wood in the bag, but it is amazing how good even the bad ones are with this club. I mean, that's not the best strike. A little bit low and a bit off the toe, but still launches well, super high. Again, steep in and not a lot of run out. And I've definitely had a few of my clients who have had hybrids over the years that have gone 9-wood this year, and it's really changed the way they hit shots into the green. You know, that longer shaft, getting them that bit more speed, and just maximum carry with not much run out is fantastic if you're hitting into the green. So one final one with 9-wood. Again, it's just ridiculous how high that is. Good solid strike. All the numbers kind of giving me what I would hope for. Lots of spin, lots of height. A little bit shorter because of more spin on that one, but again, look at the lack of rollout. So let's look at the 3 clubs side by side, see the difference in the averages. And I think, comment below, let me know, should I keep my 4-iron in the bag even before we look at these numbers, or should I be putting the 4 hybrid or even the 9-wood in the bag? So as we expected with the 9-wood, we saw more club head speed from the longer shaft at 100 mile an hour, good ball speed at 138, launching at 16 degrees, spinning at 5,200, so a lot of spin for a 4-iron equivalent, 118 feet peak height, landing at 49.4, carrying 200, and total at 209. Right, so when we compare the clubs and we look at the numbers side by side, we see we gradually get quicker, going from 91.5 to 95 up to 100. We see the ball speed, 129, 135 and 138. So again, because the club head speed's picking up, ball speed's picking up. We see the 4-iron launching the lowest, then the hybrid, then the 9-wood. The interesting one's the spin, isn't it? So 4-iron is the lowest spinning, which I'd expect. The 4 hybrid stays very much where I want at 4,000. And maybe for me personally there, the 5.2 spin on the 9-wood may be a little too much. Peak height, here's the big difference. 82 feet with the 4-iron, 102 feet with the 4 hybrid, and 118, so massively different. And then descent angles, you know, just under 40 degrees, just under 45, and just under 50. And then even though the carries weren't massively different at 196, 206 and 200, you look at the rollout. So I've suddenly got 17 yards rollout with the 4-iron. I've got 13 yards rollout with the 4 hybrid, but only got 8 yards rollout with the 9-wood. So you can see for me, those clubs do exactly what I'd expect. As the shaft gets longer, I move it quicker. As the head gets bigger, I launch the ball higher and hit the ball higher with more spin. And therefore, even though the carries are very similar, the rollout's very, very different with the 9-wood. Now, I do appreciate some of you guys watching will say, but I like the lower flight, I play links golf, and that's great. But if you are somebody who struggles hitting the ball high, particularly with those longer clubs, and maybe struggles a bit with club head speed, a 9-wood is a great opportunity to put that in the bag and really revolutionise. I mean, get rid of Mr. 4-iron, never see it again. I think a lot of golfers will still, even after you watch today's video, go, I like the idea of the hybrid, similar length shaft to the iron, therefore it feels a bit easier to control, and I get that. But if you've got a long iron in the bag, whether it be 3-iron, 4-iron, even 5-iron at a push, get along somewhere, get fitted, try the different clubs. Tell the fitter what it is you're looking for. Is it more height? Is it more carry? And put the club in the bag that makes it easiest for you to hit the kind of shots you want. And do you know what? I might have to say goodbye to the 4-iron, but it won't be for a hybrid, but it just might be for a 9-wood.